Have you ever heard a story so packed with action, romance, and betrayal that it sounds like a Hollywood blockbuster? Well, today we are diving into one of the most epic tales ever told, the story of Samson and Delilah. This isn't just a Sunday school lesson. It's a saga of superhuman strength, a fatal attraction, and a jaw-dropping finale that has fascinated people for thousands of years. So grab your popcorn, because you're in for a wild ride. Let's set the scene. We are in ancient Israel, a time when the Israelites are under the thumb of their archenemies, the Philistines. Things are looking pretty grim. But then, a miracle happens. An angel appears to a barren woman and her husband, promising them a son. This won't be just any child. He's destined to be a Nazarite, consecrated to God from birth. The rules are simple but strict. No wine or strong drink, no contact with anything unclean, and most importantly, never, ever cut his hair. This boy's name is Samson, and he is God's chosen champion, destined to begin the liberation of Israel. From a young age, it's clear Samson is special. The Spirit of the Lord is upon him, granting him strength beyond any mortal man. We are talking about next level, superhero-type power. In one famous incident, he's attacked by a young lion, and with his bare hands, he tears it apart as if it were a goat. Can you even imagine that? He doesn't need a sword or a spear. His own body is the ultimate weapon. As he grows into a man, he becomes a judge of Israel, a leader and a warrior whose exploits become legendary. He's the one-man army everyone fears, especially the Philistines. His battles against them are the stuff of legend. There's the time he caught 300 foxes, tied their tails together in pairs with torches, and set them loose in the Philistines' grain fields, burning everything to the ground. Then, when the Philistines came for revenge, he was handed over by his own people. But as they bound him with new ropes, the Spirit of the Lord came upon him, and the ropes snapped like charred threads. He grabbed the fresh jawbone of a donkey and, with that single, unconventional weapon, he struck down 1,000 Philistine soldiers. 1,000. Samson was unstoppable, a force of nature, a walking, talking embodiment of divine power. For 20 years, he judged Israel, and during that time, the Philistines lived in constant fear of his name. But every hero has a weakness, and Samson's wasn't a kryptonite rock. It was something far more common, yet infinitely more dangerous, a complicated love life. Samson had a penchant for Philistine women, which, as you can guess, caused a lot of trouble. After a disastrous first marriage that ended in more conflict, Samson's journey takes him to the valley of Sorek. And it's here that he meets her, Delilah. The Bible doesn't tell us much about Delilah's background, only that Samson falls deeply in love with her. The Philistine rulers see this as their golden opportunity. They can't defeat Samson in battle, so they decide to use deception. They approach Delilah with an offer she can't refuse. Entice him, they say, and find out where his great strength comes from and how we can overpower him. The reward? 1,100 shekels of silver from each of them. That was an astronomical sum of money, a fortune that could change a person's life forever. Greed, or perhaps something else, motivates Delilah, and she agrees to their treacherous plan. The trap is set. The game of seduction and deceit begins. Delilah, with all her charm, asks Samson, "Tell me the secret of your great strength and how you can be tied up and subdued." The first time, Samson plays along. He tells her, "If they bind me with 7 fresh bowstrings that have not been dried, I'll become as weak as any other man." So Delilah gets the bowstrings. While Samson sleeps, she has Philistine soldiers hide in the room. Then she cries out, "Samson, the Philistines are upon you." He wakes up and snaps the bowstrings as if they were single threads touching a flame. His secret was safe. Round 1 goes to Samson. But Delilah is persistent. She pouts, "You have made a fool of me. You lied to me." She presses him again for the real secret. This time, Samson tells her, "If they bind me securely with new ropes that have never been used, I'll become as weak as any other man." So, Delilah gets the new ropes. The Philistines hide again. She ties him up and shouts the alarm. And just like before, he snaps the ropes off his arms like they were nothing. The secret is still his. Samson might be in love, but is not a complete fool. Or is he? Delilah is furious. She turns up the emotional pressure. "How can you say, 'I love you,' when you won't confide in me? This is the 3rd time you have made a fool of me." Her nagging is relentless, day after day. The Bible says she pressed him daily with her words and urged him, so that his soul was vexed to death. Finally, Worn down by her constant pleading, Samson reaches his breaking point. He gives in. He tells her everything. He reveals the sacred vow of the Nazirite. He tells her, "No razor has ever been used on my head, because I have been a Nazirite to God from my mother's womb. If my head were shaved, my strength would leave me, and I would become as weak as any other man." This time, Delilah knows she has the truth, the very soul of his secret. She sends word to the Philistine rulers, "Come up this once, for he has told me all his heart." They arrive with the silver in hand. Delilah then lulls Samson to sleep with his head on her lap. She calls on a man to shave off the 7 braids of his hair. As the last lock of hair falls to the floor, his strength drains away. Then, for the final time, she cries out, "Samson, the Philistines are upon you." He awakens from his sleep, thinking he can shake them off as he did before. But he doesn't realize the Lord has left him. His power is gone. The Philistine sees him, and this time, there is no escape. In a horrific act of cruelty, they gouge out his eyes, leaving the mighty champion blind and helpless. They bind him with bronze shackles and take him to Gaza, where he is forced to grind grain in the prison, a task typically done by animals or the lowest of servants. The hero of Israel, the man who tore a lion apart, is now a broken, humiliated slave. It's a tragic and devastating fall from grace. But the story isn't over yet. In that dark prison, something small but significant begins to happen. Samson's hair, the symbol and source of his covenant strength, starts to grow back. The Philistines, in their arrogance, have forgotten the root of his power. They think they've won. To celebrate their victory, they hold a great festival in honor of their god, Dagon. They declare, "Our God has delivered our enemy into our hands." The temple is packed with thousands of people, including all the rulers of the Philistines. The atmosphere is electric with celebration. In their joyous mockery, they demand, "Bring out Samson to entertain us." The blind Samson is led from the prison and stood between the 2 central pillars that support the entire temple roof. The crowd roars with laughter, taunting the fallen giant. Samson, standing there in his humiliation, says to the servant guiding him, "Position me so I can feel the pillars that support the temple, so I can lean against them." He knows this is his last chance for redemption. With his hands on the 2 massive pillars, Samson prays a final, desperate prayer to God. He cries out, "Sovereign Lord, remember me. Please, God, strengthen me just one more time, and let me with one blow get revenge on the Philistines for my 2 eyes." He places his right hand on one pillar and his left on the other. He braces himself and pushes with all his might. The pillars groan, the foundation shakes, and with a deafening roar, the entire temple comes crashing down. In that one final, cataclysmic act of strength, Samson destroys the temple, killing everyone inside, including himself. The Bible notes that he killed more people at his death than he had during his entire life. His family later comes and retrieves his body, burying him in his father's tomb. His 20-year tenure as a judge ends in a blaze of glory and tragedy. So what do we take away from this incredible story? It's a powerful cautionary tale about the dangers of temptation and the consequences of breaking faith. Samson was given an extraordinary gift, but his personal desires and weaknesses led to his downfall. Yet, it's also a story of redemption. In his final moments, broken and blind, he turned back to God and found the strength for one last act of defiance, fulfilling his destiny to strike a devastating blow against Israel's enemies. The story of Samson and Delilah reminds us that even the strongest among us have vulnerabilities, and that true strength is found not in ourselves, but in our faith. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive into one of history's most epic stories. If you enjoyed this, please hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe for more tales from the annals of history and mythology. Let me know in the comments what story you'd like to explore next. Until then, stay curious.